Yellowstone Supervolcano Geysers. They're gassy precursors before geyser eruptions. This is explained on today's Yellowstone Caldera Chronicles, the weekly column written by scientists and collaborators of Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. This week's contribution is from John Ayers, Professor of Earth Environmental Sciences at Vanderbilt University. Is there a way to predict when a geyser is about to erupt? We know that Yellowstone has over 60% of the world's geysers, and it has over 10,000 hydrothermal areas. Most geysers are not as predictable as Old Faithful. Take Steamboat Geyser, for example, the highest erupting geyser in the world. During the last 10 years, Steamboat has gone from as few as 3 days to as much as 3 years between its eruptions. Steamboat geysers' erratic behavior can be frustrating for park visitors who can spend days waiting for an eruption that does not happen. So in the summer of 2019, we set out to look for eruption precursors, which are changes that occur consistently before an eruption happens. Precursors could be used as alerts. They can alert park rangers and visitors to an impending eruption. Our search for precursors focused on gas emissions at Steamboat Geyser. We made repeated measurements over time to look for sudden changes in gas emissions preceding a geyser eruption. The gases we chose to study are carbon dioxide and methane, CH4. Carbon dioxide is CO2, methane is CH4. Now, just to put in my comment in here, Yellowstone Supervolcano gives off gas emissions, carbon dioxide of 40,000 tons a day. 40,000 tons a day of carbon dioxide from Yellowstone. It's such an immense amount of carbon dioxide being given off by Yellowstone that is what caused the geologists to examine the cause. What is giving off so much carbon dioxide? And that's how they found that it has a tremendously huge magma reservoir underneath the magma chamber. And that magma reservoir is what feeds the magma chamber. That huge magma reservoir, believed to be the biggest in the world. Of course, they haven't examined other supervolcanoes as closely as they've been examining Yellowstone. There may be other supervolcanoes in the world that have just as big a magma chamber. We don't know. But there are over 20 supervolcanoes worldwide. Yellowstone is one of them. It's believed to be the second biggest in the world. Now, the gases that were chosen to be examined were carbon dioxide, CO2, and methane, CH4. In Yellowstone, carbon dioxide is a very common gas because it is related and released from the magma deep beneath the caldera. These gases are also important because they are both greenhouse gases, methane and carbon dioxide. To measure gas emissions, we sealed a chamber to the ground surface and then continuously measured the concentrations of these two gases within that chamber. The faster the concentrations in the chamber increased, the higher the level of gas emissions. So we continuously measured the carbon isotope compositions of these gases, expressed as the average of C13 to C12 isotopes, the ratio of carbon dioxide and methane molecules. This ratio should change if the gas sources change. For example, the proportion of gases derived from the magma may change just before an eruption of the geyser. We made our measurements at a safe distance from the geyser, at about 150 feet away, and next to the boardwalk. We were extremely fortunate because Steamboat Geyser erupted just 90 minutes before we began making measurements on June 12, 2019. The steam shot up over 300 feet into the air and rock fragments went flying. The sound was as loud as standing next to a jet engine, testifying to the awesome power of the eruption. The eruption continued for at least 45 minutes, and we continued to make measurements until 210 minutes after the eruption started. Later, when we analyzed our data, we found that all 4 of our measured variables, the emission rates and carbon isotope composition of CO2 and CH4, that is carbon dioxide and methane, changed roughly 20 minutes before the eruption. Our measurements do not explain why carbon dioxide and methane emissions change just before an eruption. Eruptions usually happen when water in the subsurface boils and pressure builds up until the steam is ejected through a narrow conduit. Gases in the hydrothermal plumbing system beneath the geyser may be drawn towards the geyser conduit, decreasing their pressures in the subsurface surrounding the geyser and therefore changing emissions at the surface. Because we made measurements over only one eruption cycle, it would be premature to say that gas emissions are a useful tool for geyser eruption prediction. But our initial results are promising, and we hope to collect future measurements to see if our conclusions hold up. So stay tuned. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.